distance. It's like
Agreed.
like you said, the difference between solid and energy is just concentration of energy.
Right.
So depending on the level of concentration, you see different things.
Agreed.
So either you see an atom or you can see a cup. That's the same thing. So manifestation, yes, it's like you can see an atom at one time and then see cup at the other time, and you're right that it's a level of energy difference. But between manifestation and unmanifestation, it's
But it's a
what you
connection.
perceive.
Manifest does not appear out of nothing.
Well, it's true.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why we have to start having a broader concept.
Right.
If we don't have a broader concept, then we're living like anybody else in this earth. Then there is no difference between us and them. When we start going into spirituality, we have to start understanding these concepts, that we all are connected. And that connectedness is responsible for our existence as we are today. If we had, it's like, I'll tell you, if in an ocean, if you think that you are a boat
Yeah.
floating on the ocean, then you and the ocean are two separate things. And that's what most of the people think, that I have nothing to do with this universe or cosmic energy or
Right.
whatever they're talking about. I am me, and that's it. That alienation is happening in the Western world. That's why we have so much sufferings. But when you start thinking that you are the wave,
Or you're a bubble.
not even the bubble, let's look at, just talk about, because then you putting 2-3 different elements in that. You just think yourself as a wave, where the ocean is into the wave.
Right.
So whole cosmic energy, universe around me was responsible for me to be created so that I can have a separate appearance
Right.
from somebody else. But they are also the wave, I am also the wave. So instead of considering myself as a boat, I consider myself as a wave.
Right.
And that dance of ocean is happening somewhere. Sometimes I'm a wave, and sometimes I'm a deep ocean. Sometimes I have a wave again and a deep ocean again. There is no reason to call myself separate than this universe. So if a wave is created, at some point it spent a lot of time under the under ocean current, under surface current, to become a wave, and then it will go down again. So connectedness with the whole universe is the goal of spirituality, to make us understand. If we have a fixed notion of manifest and unmanifest only, then we have a problem. Then we will never go beyond that. So that's why they say that ordinary people are living an incomplete life, because they are sticking to only the manifested portion. They never think of the unmanifest. And they never think about all this process that is responsible for turning unmanifest into manifest, manifest into unmanifest. All these cycles of birth and death are happening. So now at the same time, realizing that if there isn't so much overlap between manifest and unmanifest, you can say that manifest already has unmanifest built into it. Like we said, as soon as a person is born, the shadow of death has already started. Whether we like it or not, whether we want it or not, the reason we hate death so much, because we are so hooked on the manifest portion. We love what we have, we want to possess. So our clinging to the life is what makes us hate death. But if we realize, have a total picture, that becoming unmanifest is just another way of becoming manifest, because that itself is gathering momentum to become manifest again, then a death is a new entryway into the next manifestation. So where is the cause of suffering? So the same way, goodness and a badness. We talked about, you will never find a person who is 100% Ram, or never find a person who is 100% Ravan. But goodness and badness are also concepts, only at relative ways. If I have a Ram-like tendency, I will like Ram better than Ravan. If I have a Ravan-like tendency, I might like Ravan better, then I'll find a lot of faults in Ram than Ravan. So again, the concept, the whole idea of discussion is to start breaking our traditional concepts about life. So life is not everything as we see it. There is more to life in spiritual world than in the material world. So we should stop breaking our concepts about goodness and the badness and the light, the cause of suffering and happiness. All those are relative things. If I have $1 million, another $1 million is not going to give me the same happiness if I had nothing. And then $1 million makes very, very happy. I always talk about first time we went to Atlantic City, $75 came down in the slot machine.
Right.
For me, there was like bonanza.
Right.
And now $75 goes every second and does not give me the same excitement. So happiness is also relative, suffering is also relative, good is also relative, bad is also relative. The sun, when it shines and the earth starts raining, the day starts. The day end already has started. In just a matter of few hours, we will have the end of the day and the night will start. So it's all relative. So come out of the concepts of things which are changing. Really nothing is changing. Energy is changing the appearances in front of us. Nobody has died. Everybody has died and then got a new form and is coming back to us. So whatever is the total consciousness, if you realize, that has never changed. So that's where the science also comes into the action. We consider only three-dimensional life, height, width, and depth.
Right.
We can see the world in only three-dimensional form. But Einstein put the wrench into this. He says the time is the fourth element. And for us to conceive the time as a fourth element or the fourth dimension was very difficult, because for us it was continuous change. But he says it's not. You throw the time into it and it becomes the fourth dimension, and at that level nothing is changing. It's just changing shape and appearance within, but nothing has changed as far as you are concerned. So state of Advait puts you into that state where everything is just relative, moving around each other. And when we are in it, we call it time. But when we are out of it, we don't call it time. Time doesn't exist, because time is nothing but relative motion of one object around the other. So what is the relative thing does not mean anything. Absolute is what it is. So at absolute level, there is no time, there is no space. Everything is just a total peace and bliss. So people who are nice could have badness and weaknesses in their mind. People who appear really bad outside could have a lot of goodness in them. So chasing and choosing, labeling people, labeling situations is a mistake. Only for ourselves. Forget about what you do to the world, but at your own end, it's preventing you from going into the samadhi. When we start accepting everybody as a total manifestations and goodness and badness only a relative thing, it starts becoming less and less important. So we are hurting ourselves when we actually label people. So our focus on the outside world, what did he do, what did he do, what did he do, how did he do this and that and all that, commenting on them and all that, is useless. Because we are disturbing our own inner peace and inner environment, and it's preventing us from going within. So that's another thing that comes out of this discussion is stop, labeling people, stop commenting on the people, how they're living and all that. What matters to you is how you're gonna clean up your own mess. And then when we have all these concepts are removed, the good and the bad and better and bad and happiness and sufferings, all these are concepts. They are all relative things. Absolute bliss is the total thing. But that you will not have until you go within. Yesterday I had a lawyer in my back office, and I said, how are things going on, Anthony? So he said, yeah, everything is fine. I said, what do you mean by fine? He says, well, my wife is healthy, my kids are healthy, I have a good job, and everything is good. I said, what if you go home and your wife has 104-degree fever? It can happen. Oh, then I'll be nervous. I said, what if something major comes out, cancer or something? Oh, then I'll be devastated. I said, what if your wife is nice to you? Supposing you had a bad day and you went home and shouted at your wife, do you think she will be still nice to you? Oh, I doubt that about that duck. If I shout at her, forget it. Then she doesn't want to listen to me. I said, your kids are nice to you? He says, yeah. So I said, stop their allowances. Don't give them what they get every week. What do you think is going to happen? Oh, they will hate me. I said, see your point? You see my point? Everything is relative. Because you are nice to them, they are nice to you. That's business. Where is the true love and where is the true happiness? And yet, none of these things have happened in your life. That's why you're happy. All these things, including this, plus a lot more things can happen. It's life. I said, do you think you'll be still happy then? He said, I'm not so sure, Doc.
Only in America.
So he says that, then what else is there? So I said, we don't understand all these options. That's when we talked about the spiritual existence and where you go within, and I gave him the examples, and I talked about that you are not the body, you are not the mind. I showed him the pen, and I said, you are not the pen, and whatever you can observe is not you. Your body is not you because you can observe it. Whatever you can observe, that means observer, observation, and the observed. Three things has to be there. So if you see a pen, you are not a pen. The same way you see your body. So how could you be the body? Because you can observe it. Somebody has to be observing. And they say, well, it's my mind that's observing. So, well, then your mind has its own moods. You're happy, angry, crying, sadness, whatever. Those are the moods of the mind. Who is watching the mind? So finally he says, well, it's my soul. I said, there you go. Can you observe your soul? No, that's me. I said, there you go. It's like telescope. You look at the stars and galaxies, but you can't look at your own eye.
Right.
Because your eye is the observer. And that's where the buck stops. So your soul, I said, start observing your own soul. At that point, the journey that you used to take to become happy, to start from your own self, becoming nice to your wife and kids, and getting their happiness or likeness back, love coming back to you, was a lot of journey that you had to take to become happy, presuming everything worked out very well. I mean, you can in the morning say good morning to your wife, and your wife may curse you for whatever you did to her. It's possible, right? So, still, presuming that everything happened well, your journey started from yourself, went to your wife or your kids or your bank balance or your clients or whatever, and everything came back to you nice and easy. Ultimately, you became happy. But I'm not talking about that happiness. You start observing through yourself, where you are the observer and you're observing yourself. And obviously the journey does not have to go anywhere else but within